The sun was a red coin sinking behind the hills of Ash Hollow, a lawless frontier town nestled in the unforgiving Wyoming territory. Dust hung in the air like ghosts, catching the fading light and drifting across the single dirt road that split the town in two. Men smoked outside saloons, rifles slung over their shoulders, watching everything and trusting no one. It was a place for outlaws, lost souls, and those too tired to run any farther. Clara Bell had no more strength left in her legs. Her boots were worn through, her dress tattered, and her body ached with hunger and bruises hidden beneath the fabric. Her blonde hair, once brushed and tied in ribbons, now clung to her face in sweaty strands. She'd run from Denver 2 weeks ago, leaving behind a stepfather who sold her to gamblers for whiskey and a life that had never once shown her kindness. She reached the wooden stoop of the Coyote Saloon and stood there like a ghost come to life. The piano inside played a ragged tune, and laughter roared from drunk men. She stepped in, stomach twisting. The first pair of eyes that met his belonged to a man who looked like he belonged in a painting of the Old West, a tall, broad-shouldered cowboy with a six-shooter on his hip and a dark hat shadowing his face. He sat in the corner, alone, nursing a single drink. Clara approached the bar, gripping the wood to steady herself. "I need work," she said to the barkeep. "Or food." The barkeep, a greaser man with a belly to match, didn't bother looking up. "Ain't no jobs here unless you're willing to lie on your back for 'em." Her breath caught. She turned and faced a cowboy in the corner, something in her breaking. She walked to him, knees trembling. "Sir," she said quietly, "I don't got anything left. I'll give you whatever you want. Just feed me. Please." He looked up slowly. His eyes were blue-gray, like clouds before a storm. "What's your name?" "Clara." He studied her, really looked, and then pushed a plate of untouched stew toward her. "You eat," he said, "and sit. Nobody's chooching you tonight. Not even me." She stared, stunned. "But I said sit." She Saturday. Chapter 2, A Man with a Past. His name was Colt Maddox. Former Pinkerton, turned bounty hunter. Rumors around Ash Hollow said he killed 20 men, maybe more, and had a price on his own head in Texas. But to Clara, that night, he was the only man who saw her as something other than a commodity. After she finished the stew, Colt handed her a blanket and pointed to his rented room upstairs. "You take the bed," he said. "I'll take the floor." Clara's voice was a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" He didn't answer until she reached the top stair. "Because once I had a sister. She looked just like you." The next morning, she awoke to the smell of coffee and the soft scrape of Colt's knife sharpening against the stone. He didn't say much, but he gave her a job mucking stalls at the livery where he kept his horse, a proud Appaloosa named Whiskey. "You work, you eat. That's a deal," he said. Weeks passed, and Clara began to smile again. She fed chickens, learned to ride, and even laughed once when Whiskey sneezed in her hair. Colt kept his distance, quiet and gruff, but protective in ways she didn't understand. Until one night, the pa she ran from came back with a vengeance. Chapter 3, Trouble Rides In. It was nearing dusk when a wagon pulled into Ash Hollow. 3 men climbed down. One of them, Clara recognized instantly. Jed Kettering, her stepfather's hired gun. The man who had dragged her from back rooms and slapped her when she refused the customers. She froze behind the stables, heart racing. But Colt saw the fear in her eyes. "You know him?" he asked. She nodded, eyes wet. "He'll take me back. Or worse." Colt stood up, rolled his shoulders, and walked right into the saloon. Inside, he found Jed and the others laughing over Whiskey. "You're in the wrong town," Colt said coldly. Jed sneered. "Ain't that the famous Colt Maddox? Didn't know you were into harboring little whores." Colt's fist came down like thunder. Jed hit the ground, nose broken. The other 2 men reached for guns, but Colt had his drawn first. "This ain't a fight you want," he growled. "You ride out of here." and you don't come back." They left by nightfall. That night, Clara cried in his arms, not from fear, but from relief. Colt held her without a word, his rough hand gentle as snowflakes. For the first time, she felt safe. "I thought you were gonna take me once," she said, voice trembling. "I'd never take what ain't freely given," he murmured. Chapter 4. The Cost of Honor. The town began to change after that. Folks who once ignored Clara started nodding to her in passing. Mrs. Hollis at the boarding house offered her a dress. Colt bought her a pair of boots with polished buckles. She smiled more, worked harder, and started saving money from stable chores. But peace never lasts long in places like Ash Hollow. 2 weeks later, bounty posters arrived on horseback. The law from Texas had finally caught Colt's scent. A marshal named Briggs, mean and cold, pinned a poster to the saloon wall. Wanted, Colt Maddox. Murder, $1,000 dead or alive. Colt didn't flinch, but Clara saw the storm brewing in his eyes. "You have to run," she said. He shook his head. "I've been running too long." That night, he saddled whiskey and left his guns with her. "If I don't come back," he said, "take the horse and head north to Casper. You'll find honest work there." She gripped his coat. "Don't go." But he kissed her forehead, then rode into the dark. Chapter 5. Redemption's Edge. Colt faced Marshal Briggs at dawn outside the churchyard. No tricks, just grit. They drew at the same time, but Colt's bullet found its mark first. The marshal fell, wounded but alive. Colt didn't finish the job. Instead, he tossed his pistol to the dust. "Let the Lord decide," he said. "I'm done killing Dot." The townsfolk, who had gathered to watch, stood stunned. Clara ran to him, eyes wide with tears. Briggs lived. The trial came, and so did witnesses, men who testified that Colt's murders were self-defense, acts of justice against cutthroats and murderers. The court dropped the charges. When Colt walked free, Clara was waiting with tears and trembling hands. "You gave up everything to do what's right," she whispered. He smiled. "Not everything. I still got you, if you'll have me." She kissed him then, not out of desperation or fear, but out of love born from survival, kindness, and the kind of trust forged only through fire. Epilogue. Ash Hollow blooms again. A year later, Ash Hollow had changed. The saloon played softer music, the sheriff was fair, and the livery now had a sign that read Maddox Stables and Riding School. Clara taught young girls how to ride and walk proud. Her laugh was a sound that filled the wind like a song. Colt still rode out on occasion, chasing the odd bounty, but always came home before dusk. They were married under the big cottonwood tree, where the dust didn't seem so heavy anymore. And every night, before sleep, Clara would whisper the words that had once gone unspoken in her soul. "You didn't take me when I was broken. You waited until I was whole." Colt would pull her close and reply, "That's because you were always worth waiting for."